On Sunday, we reached an agreement with Iran that achieves everything.
A reported secret 14-point memorandum of understanding between the United States and Iran is making headlines worldwide. And if these reports are accurate, this agreement could completely reshape the Middle East, that is, from ending conflict and reopening one of the world's most important oil routes to easing sanctions and even discussing a $300 billion reconstruction plan. So what exactly does this 14-point deal say? Let's go point by point in simple terms. Point number 1. End of war on all the fronts. Well, the first and most dramatic point is an immediate and permanent end to military conflict between the US, Iran and their allies. And this includes stopping hostilities across all the regions, including Lebanon, and agreeing not to threaten or attack each other in the future. Point number 2. Respect for sovereignty. Both the countries agree to respect each other's independence and not interfere in internal political matters. And in simple terms, no direct political interference or destabilization efforts. Point number 3. 60-day deadline for the final deal. The agreement sets a strict 60-day timeline in order to convert this memorandum into a final peace deal, and this deadline can only be extended if both the sides agree. Point number 4. End of US blockade. The US will begin removing its naval blockade on Iranian ports, and within 30 days, all the major restrictions on Iran's maritime access are expected to be lifted in the phases. Point number 5. Strait of Hormuz reopening. Iran will ensure safe passage for commercial ships through the Strait of Hormuz, and for the initial period, ships may not be charged any transit fees, restoring normal global shipping flow. Point number 6. Return to normal sea trade. Traffic in Gulf waters will gradually return to pre-war levels, allowing oil and cargo movement to stabilize across the region. Point number 7. No nuclear weapons commitment. Well, Iran has reaffirmed that it will not develop or acquire nuclear weapons. However, detailed nuclear restrictions are still open for further negotiations. Point number 8. Nuclear material discussion. Well, both the sides will decide what happens to Iran's enriched uranium stockpile, and a mechanism under international supervision will be created, likely involving dilution or controlled handling of the nuclear material. Point number 9. Status quo on nuclear program. Well, until a final agreement is reached, Iran will not significantly expand its nuclear program, and the US will avoid new sanctions or military escalation. Point number 10. $300 billion reconstruction plan. A massive economic development package worth at least $300 billion is being discussed for Iran, and this fund would support rebuilding and economic revival, though funding sources are still under negotiation. Point number 11. Sanctions relief on oil exports. The US will temporarily allow Iran to export oil, again through waivers and exemptions, and this includes banking, insurance and shipping support for the oil trade. Point number 12. Unfreezing Iranian assets. Iran's frozen overseas assets will be gradually released, giving Tehran access to billions of dollars, and the exact timing and structure will be decided during the negotiations. Point number 13. Monitoring mechanism. Well, a joint monitoring system will be created in order to ensure that both the sides follow the agreement, and this includes verification of Iran's nuclear commitments and US sanctions relief promises. Point number 14. Final deal endorsed by UN. And once a final agreement is reached, it is expected to be approved by the United Nations Security Council, and this would give the deal international legal recognition and global enforcement backing. Well, it is going to be definitely a deal that could change everything. So these are the 14 reported points of the US-Iran agreement, and from ending decades of conflict to reopening global oil routes to reshaping sanctions and nuclear policy, the impact could be definitely massive. But the biggest question still remains. Will both the sides actually stick to it and turn this memorandum into lasting peace? Well, the world is now watching very closely. What do you think about it? Let us know in the comment section below, and do like, comment and subscribe to the Savera for more updates.